Welcome to another Enjoying Art member painting hour. Before we start it, please give this video a like, share with your friends, and turn on notification so you will not going to miss any watercolor lesson like this. So we're going to paint the boat and the water and the dry grasses. Let's figure out the shapes first. Okay, what we're going to include. So if you see my table, I'm going to draw the main object, which is the boat. So I'm going to draw a little bit smaller, okay, for the composition. Just draw a little bit smaller like this. Here you go. So roughly, I draw the shape of the little boat like this. And now I'm going to make it a little bit darker than like that. And okay, what's the next thing I'm going to include? Okay, a little line like this. And on the side over here, I will draw a little bit, like a little shadow over here, a little darker. Now coming on this side, let me see. I'm going to leave a little bit, look like there's some snow over here. Okay, a little bit, the edge. So now I'm going to extend this little shape a little bit more. I exaggerate that a little bit. And I think the shape looks interesting. I may or may not going to stay this way, but we're going to put it on first. And I'm going to have this a little bit darker, like that, on the side here. And then let's move that. That's a little too straight. I'm going to move that, make that a little bit curve, like that, and then have a little bit come out over here. So I have some dry grasses coming out like this. There's some dry grasses like this, right? So over here I also have a little bit showing that it's a little turn like this on over here. So I'm going to remove this the bucket of something. I don't really need it. Now it has a little reflection, this shadow over here on the boat. That it looks simple, but it can be complicated. But I want you to think about just simple in your mind. Okay, just pick out the important thing. What is this? The main object. What is this? What are the rest of the supporting? And what you want? What else you want to include? And I want to include this stick like that and come out maybe this way like that. You don't have to make it that straight. And now have a little bit soft reflected light. And to draw a few lines, seems like the boat needs a few lines. So I'm going to have that and a little brown color at the bottom. Now, next thing is important. Do we want to include the very far background? Or do you want to just cut it like this? If you want to cut it like this, for say, I'm going to move this a little bit higher like this, cut it like that, and or you want to come in a little bit more on the left hand side. Think about that and make up your mind and moving in a little bit more, and maybe I'm going to move down a little bit more, cropping in. Just keep going and see how this is going to look like. Make up your mind. Because our painting is not about copying the photo. It's you need to create a new vision. You have a new ideas in it. So I think that actually look a little bit better. But everyone's gonna come up with a different answer. Okay, how are you gonna do the composition? I don't know. Let's play with it, right? So this little stick, I'm not sure I will have it all the way off the page. I want to actually make it shorten a little bit so I can actually see the whole thing inside the paper. Okay. Yeah. Right? If that sounds a little bit better. And maybe come in a little bit. I don't want to have this opening so much. And come in a little bit and maybe this cut down a little bit like that. It looks like there could be quite a bit of dust in the front over here. So I'm going to get my toothbrush ready. This exercise is very important. Put this on the side. So first thing I'm going to use my calligraphy brush. I'm gonna take a little light color, and then I'm gonna take a look. And where I'm gonna put the boat's about right here, like this size. Let's figure it out. The width is about taking this much for the boat. Okay, like that. That's pretty easy, straightforward. Now we already have the idea. Now I'm gonna have, that's the boat, right? Just thinking about the shape. Okay, just coming over here. Let's see how far that's gonna go. Looking at my study, I'm gonna, on this shape, I'm gonna move it a little bit like that, make it a little bit more interesting instead of a little bit too straight, too stiff. Now I'm gonna come in on this side, and then there's some grass, some dry grass on the side over here, like that. Now I'm gonna have the dry grasses over here. Just get an idea, the first round, right? Now I'm gonna have the stick and coming up about here. It looks like a too straight. I want it to be a little bit dynamic look. I think this looks good, and I probably can make the boat a little bit bigger. In this case, I'm gonna straight go ahead to paint the color on the boat. All you see is just shape and colors. Okay, it's just shape and colors. Nothing is gonna hurt you. Okay, just like that. Just look for the shape. It's very important that you would look for the information, but don't get distracted. Like say, if I'm looking for the shape of the blue area, just looking for the shape of the blue area. Don't look at anything else. It's the same thing when you are painting a portrait, and then we're very much the same thing. Like you're looking for, I'm looking for the outline, the outside shape of the face. Looking for that. Then don't get distracted by the nose, by the eye, by the mouth, right? None of those. And you see the color kind of like going around. This is fine, okay? You don't want to get distracted from that. And now I'm going to use this 1-inch flat brush. Just get the blue color. Just start over here. Just getting that colors straight coming over. Now coming over here. Now lift that the top of the boat at the end is see a little bit that's fine, like that. Okay, put the blue color over there. Doesn't have to be the same color. You can change the color if you want. Okay, you don't have to be afraid of anything. So now this is the water. Now I'm going to start going into the other big area. The first step is very critical, very crucial. That is, can you quickly get your first impression, how all the elements come together. That's very important. How you can make those down before it run away from your mind. Okay, now I'm gonna start over here like this and come here. That's the front over here. That's wet. You don't want to touch that right now. So I'm gonna putting the brown color. It's very important to see how you render the shape. The shape sometimes is more important than what the shape represent. Like say, oh, the shape of the land, the shape of the boat, it may be not as important as the shape alone. I mean, how the shape look like and how interesting the shape appear to you. Okay, like that. Now take a look on this side. Here you go. Now I'm gonna have something really even darker. We haven't covered everywhere yet. First responsibility is to cover the color to the entire page. Now, what I'm going to do, it's still really wet at the front over here. How I'm gonna find the things to paint. And this probably have to come back with some even darker color a little bit later. Now I'm gonna take a little risk. The water considers done, right? That is already suggest enough for the water. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna mix some the color for the dry grass without much water, just with only very little water. You see my brush like this. Let's see, a little blue color because it's a little bit too warm. That's probably good enough. Now I'm gonna try to push it and open up the hair so you can see it look like this. So I'm gonna take a look. Lots of time when I do things, it actually is something I never done before. Okay, so you can try it. Let's see. I'm gonna have that. Okay. Just let it go. So let's see how it look like. Oh, I like this so far. I'm gonna come over here on this side. Here you go. The shape may not gonna stay. It may not be really the way I planned it. I'm gonna have a little bit red color like that over here this side. Okay, now the color coming up from here. And speaking of taking risk, painting is a risk-taking process, and there's just not much like say you are copying something from use a machine or somehow a device, and everything you are making a decision and an act of risk-taking. So something I think a little bit too much on this side, but I'm not quite sure at this point. I would rather not touch it right now because it's not going to make it better than do it later. Okay, so I'm gonna, this is probably a little bit too much, but I'm going to do that a little bit later. Now I'm going to use my calligraphy brush. Now consider I already have colors everywhere on the paper. That's just the first step, right? It's very important. Now I'm going to come back to the boat. Now I'm going to have a little bit darker color. Now here you go. Like that. Now I'm going to just use the clean brush. Just brush that over. You don't have to make it really smooth. Like that. This is good. Showing a little curve. Now I'm going to have the bow on this side. I'm just going to have darker blue color coming down like this. Okay, now the boat is already appear to look like a boat, and just for a couple things, a couple elements you put into it. Now I'm going to use the brown color, have a little bit blue like that, and that's darker. That's good. Now what I want to do, I'm going to just put this color on the top for now, like that, and another color coming down like over here. Here you go, like that. That's good. Now I'm gonna having the color, and at the end over here, we'll do that a little bit later. Okay. And speaking of that, when you use a calligraphy brush like this, it's very important to knowing how you're gonna render your brush work. The brush work would be how you move the brush and how you create a statement just with a stroke. So I'm gonna take that color from here. Okay, that's good. That's good shape coming on this side. I know it's gonna blur together, but it's okay. Sometimes taking a little risk and maybe have an unexpected reward. Okay, now I'm going to come to the top over there and I have a little very light color and start over here. That's good. I like that stroke. Like that, and maybe a little bit darker right over here. Okay, on this side, have a little shape. That's already dry. Now on the top, I'm gonna have a little bit lighter, just a little bit lighter color over here. Just one stroke coming over like that. And actually have something on the top like that. I think the boat is already there. And on top over here, I can add a little bit darker color right over there. And think of the background, it's almost dry. So we're gonna come back a little bit later. This is already getting dry. Now, what I'm gonna do ready, there is one area I left there. I did not do it when it's wet. I'm gonna have a little bit brown color like that and put it right here. Okay, see that? That's a shape over here. Now I'm also going to have a little bit like that suggested, and have a little shape on the side over here, and have a little shape, and just make a little interesting shape, and as you go. And we're gonna see how we're gonna make it look more interesting. Okay, is keep all your options open as you are doing your paintings. Okay, like that, and have a little suggestions. And here you go. And I'm gonna come back to on this side. And every time when you do a painting, you will feel kind of like you are get yourself into trouble. And I think this is a good thinking. You maybe think about, yeah, right, it's the good thinking. You are gonna make yourself into a situation that you're gonna fight through it, and you're gonna win at the end. And you maybe think about, what about if you're not gonna win? So what's gonna happen? Well, that will be fine too. But most of the time, if you have the confidence, it may not really come out to the same way that you wanted it, but it could be different. So I'm gonna do a little stroke over here and just use this palette knife. I just have it right in front of me. Says I'm very good with improvise. Whatever I have, I just try it. And I don't really like this scratchings that much. So I'm gonna come back to this time. This already dried, so it will be much better than before. But that probably doesn't really bother me that much. I'm gonna mix the color. Be careful, this time mix the color. Also dry, but maybe have a little bit water. I add a little bit water, but because this color is not going to melt into the background, because the background is about 90% dry already. Okay, now I'm gonna take this color. Now I'm gonna also fan it out, have a little bit bigger. Now we're gonna try again. I'm gonna take the risk one more time, and like that. Now on this side too. Okay, let's see. Well, don't look into the boat until you're having everywhere else working together with the boat. Because if the boat looking good, it's not everything for a painting. Okay, now on this side looks okay, but on the other side it's not. So I'm going to take out the color. Now the paper I'm using is Arches 9x12. So actually I'm going to let go some of the color. I can come back a little bit later. So all right, now it's still feeling okay. Now I'm gonna lift up a little color over here on the front, just showing this bunch is actually a little bit in the front of that. showing a little curve, a little texture. Squint the eye is very important. Some members get used to squinting now, and some still not sure how to squint and why. Okay, now, and I'm going to have the toothbrush. Now I'm gonna take this color. This is already close to dry, so it's okay to take this two color, and I'm going to have some dust at the front over here. Those texture, it will help to convey the materials at the front over here. Have that. Okay, now the next thing I'm gonna come to do some adjustment and also some changes. Like say on the boat, I'm gonna add some blue color. Now here you go. There's a little bit more blue color. I'm gonna leave a little bit light shape on the edge over here. If you want, you can leave a little light shape like that. That will be fine. Okay, now look like that. That looks good. Okay, now the boat have a little bit more interest. Now I'm gonna come back here to take a little bit red purplish colors. I'm gonna now add a little shape on the top over here. And now everything you add to it is going to have more definitions. And I'm gonna have a little bit, one more definition here. And the bottom have a little bit suggestion like that. That looks good. Okay, you keep saying that that's good, it helps. It actually confirm it that you're not gonna give up. You're gonna keep going, okay? Like that. Okay. Now, something I need to start working on, that is in the water. I'm gonna put this color right over here. Now also a darker shade right underneath the boat. Now everything you add to it, if you don't give up, you're gonna go somewhere. Okay. Now I'm gonna have just the dry brush and extend that. That looks interesting. Okay. Now this time I'm gonna soften this and create some feeling of reflected light from the water. So that's good. Now I'm gonna also have a little gray color over here suggesting the thickness of the side. And I continue. Have a little bit suggestions, dark color right over here. Now see that? Slowly you're gonna get the boat become really convincing. And I'm gonna have a little line on the side over here. That's simple. I'll come back to that for the front over here. Now I'm gonna add the wood, right? The wood, look at the color, that should be fine. And okay, start over here. Now let's take a look. Start over here, like that. That's good enough. And also have a little bit kind of yellow things on the side over here. You don't have to do it, but it's kind of interesting. So I'm gonna have some even darker color. So mix the really dark for the bottom over here and a little bit darker. Now I'm coming into the reflected, okay, like that. They can move a little like this. And also over here have a little bit. Now I'm gonna have something a little bit softer over here. That's part of the interesting details. I like that. Now I'm gonna add a little bit movement for the water, like that. I suggested some movement over here. Now speaking of movement, now I'm going to add a little bit more movement into the water over here, like that. Okay, just a little summarize from what you see. It doesn't have to be really different. Now that's a totally different, totally too much, right? So let it go. Okay, like that. Okay, now I think I already done enough on that. And now I'm going to come in to give a little suggestions for the grass. I just take the yellow color, almost like it just have a few lines with the calligraphy brush, because this brush is pretty dry. Just give it a little bit suggestions, a little bit like that. It's getting there. How do you feel? You feel a little bit better, less scary than a few minutes ago. Now I'm gonna have some color much darker. Now I'm gonna come in over here. Now I need to have some really dark color, a little drier, like that. Okay, see that, like this, good. And I'm gonna have now a much darker color at the bottom as the shadow. And now I'm going to have some shape at the front over here, because it actually the foreground. I'm gonna have a little suggestion at the bottom over here. Now I'm gonna come back over here. Now see, sometimes dry brush, sometimes a little wet brush, and have a little big shape like that. Okay, just roughly give some suggestions. Now I'm gonna come back with a little red color. See that they're always coming around, and then you come back to the boat. Now I'm going to have a little detail over here, but you don't want to try to do everything in the same area at once. You think about the timing. On the top over here, this line, I need to make it a little bit more clear, like that. Coming through over here, that's good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, not really too dark, but you need to have some suggestions for the line on the boat. Right? And then this the time, like that. Okay. And I'm gonna have a little red color. Okay, I think that's needed, like that, because I want the boat to pop a little bit more. Now I'm gonna think about, oh, there is another stick. I also want to capture it right on the boat over here, like that. That will be fine. Now I'm gonna draw there, actually the line coming over, tighten to the stick into the water, like that. Okay. Now at the front over here, now I'm going to use the scratch one more time. Hopefully the area is still a little wet, so I'm going to start over here and I'm going to do a little bit cleaning over here. Now you can continue adding some details to the boat. Like in the top over here, I'm going to have that clean up a little bit and get a little detail in, and I can lift up a little light shape for the dry grass if you want to. So, but for my exclusive demo time, I think that is already take enough time. I can do a little more a little bit later. If you are an Enjoying Art member, please come to join us every Friday. We paint together. You are going to choose the subject matter, what we're going to paint for the following week. If you're not yet a member, please join us and turn on notification so you are not going to miss any future videos.